Well, history is being made in the Chicago River right now, where people are being allowed to swim in the water for the first time in nearly 100 years.
Chicago has always been defined by its waterways. The towering skyline reflecting off Lake Michigan, the bridges that rise and fall over the Chicago River, the history of commerce and industry flowing through its channels. But for decades, one thing was certain. You did not swim in the Chicago River. It was too polluted, too dangerous, too toxic. That all changed this week. For the first time in nearly 100 years, hundreds of people jumped into the Chicago River. Not by accident, not as daredevils, but in a sanctioned, city-approved, highly celebrated public swim. More than 300 swimmers lined up at the start of a mile-long course, cheered on by spectators on bridges and along the Riverwalk. As they dove into the water, history was being made. This wasn't just a sporting event. It was a symbol. A century ago, the Chicago River was infamous for being one of the most polluted waterways in America. Industrial waste poured in from factories. Sewage systems overflowed. The water ran brown and smelled of chemicals. In some neighborhoods, people joked that if you fell into the river, you'd need a tetanus shot immediately. But decades of cleanup, infrastructure investment, and environmental pressure have transformed the river. Slowly, fish returned. Birds nested, kayakers and boaters appeared. The Riverwalk blossomed into one of Chicago's most beloved attractions. And now, after years of testing and monitoring, organizers finally said, the water is safe enough to swim. The moment was surreal. Swimmers in bright caps and wetsuits dove in just beneath the skyscrapers of downtown Chicago. They sliced through the water, passing tour boats and historic bridges, racing past the architectural landmarks that define the city. Above them, crowds leaned over the railings, waving signs and cheering. Some clapped in disbelief.
This is Olivia Smaliga, and she's just not any swimmer. She is gold medalist from Rio in 2016, and she won the bronze medal in Tokyo in 2020. Welcome. So are you feeling nervous? Do you have no qualms about getting into the river?
No qualms about getting in the river. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited. I went to bed with a little bit of nervous energy, but after seeing the first wave of 2-milers jump in, I'm pumped.
Saying they never thought they'd live to see this day. For environmentalists, this was a victory decades in the making. Groups like Friends of the Chicago River have been fighting since the 1970s to clean the waterway, lobbying politicians, suing polluters, and organizing volunteers. Their message was simple. The river should be alive, not a dumping ground. Today's swim proved that change is possible. But beneath the celebration is a reminder of how fragile that progress is. The river still isn't perfect. Heavy rains can trigger sewage overflows, making the water unsafe for days. Industrial pollution has not been completely eliminated. Climate change brings new challenges, with hotter summers, unpredictable storms, and pressure on infrastructure. The swim was historic, but it was also a challenge to keep fighting for cleaner, healthier waterways. For Chicagoans, the event felt like reclaiming part of their city. The river is no longer a scar cutting through downtown. It's a place of joy, recreation, and community. Swimmers described the water as cool, refreshing, even surprisingly clean. One said, "It felt like we were rewriting history with every stroke." Another added, "For so long we thought of this river as dead. Today it felt alive again." City leaders were quick to claim credit. Officials praised decades of investment in sewage treatment plants, stormwater tunnels, and green infrastructure. Without those efforts, this day would never have come. But activists warned, the work isn't finished. The Chicago River Swim should be a starting point, not an end point. The symbolism of the event goes beyond Chicago. Across America, cities are rethinking their waterways. Rivers once written off as industrial sewers are being restored as public spaces. From the Cuyahoga in Cleveland to the Hudson in New York, water that once caught fire or stank of oil is now being reclaimed. Chicago's swim may inspire other cities to push for their own clean water victories. Still, the image of hundreds of people swimming through downtown Chicago is one that will stick with us. It was both shocking and inspiring. Generations grew up being told to stay away from the river, that it was dangerous. On this day, parents brought their kids to watch history unfold, telling them a new story, that the river belongs to all of us, and that it can be a source of life. not death. For a city that has weathered so many crises, from crime waves to budget battles to political scandals, this was a rare day of pure good news. A day when the skyline shimmered on the water, when voices of celebration echoed across bridges, when the Chicago River became a stage for triumph instead of tragedy. The swim is over, but the story continues. The challenge now is to make sure this is not a one-time event, but the beginning of a new tradition. To make sure every year more people can swim safely, to ensure every neighborhood benefits from clean water, not just downtown, and to remember that behind every stroke taken that day were decades of unseen battles fought by activists, scientists, and everyday residents who refused to give up on their river. The Chicago River Swim of 2025 will be remembered as more than just a race. It was a declaration that a polluted past doesn't have to dictate the future, that nature can be restored, that people and water can be reunited in the heart of a great city. And maybe one day, when children ask their parents, was it really true that people weren't allowed to swim in the river? The answer will come with a smile. Yes, it was true once, but not anymore. We changed it. We made it better.